We have 4 of us presenting today, and we've each kind of picked highlights of the symposium that we would like to share with you. They are not necessarily in the order that they were done at the symposium, so don't be put off by that. We are just going to present what we thought was good. So first things first, the symposium was last week. A couple of numbers on the screen there for you. We had our biggest symposium yet. It was the 4th Odyssey Europe Symposium held in Rotterdam, again on the steamship, and it was, as Craig said earlier, it was absolutely awesome. So I have to share the picture, obviously. If you look carefully at this picture and compare it to last year's, you will see that there's quite a few more faces on this picture. There were actually 350 people that attended from all over Europe, and even from outside of Europe, and also from very different stakeholders. So that was very good. And we also had a nice mix of people that were new to the community and people that have been there from the very first hour. One other thing I'd like to share with you, when we look at this picture, we see all these smiling faces, and what you all don't see is what happens before this picture is taken. Martijn is the one who normally takes a picture, and he has to climb up on tables and climb over tripods and jump down to get himself in the picture. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys to see what happens there. Also, a big shout out to the team. The symposium was organized by the Department of Medical Informatics of the Erasmus MC, and all the people that helped do this next to their own work. So they really put a lot of effort into it. It went super smooth, no hiccups anywhere. So I think they deserve a big thank you for that. Next, a little bit of an impression of the things that were going on. We did it a little bit differently this year. We decided to switch around the symposium day and the tutorial days. So the actual symposium was on Monday, and we did the tutorials and the work group meetings in the weekend leading up to Symposium Monday. And we haven't yet had the official evaluation of how things went, but so far I've heard that people were actually quite happy with how it went, because it was nice to get to meet each other informally in the weekend, get some hands-on work done, and then have all the formal stuff on Monday. As you can see, lots of happy, smiling faces. I think there were a lot of excited people there, but also a lot of laptops open. So there was actually some work being done there as well, which is obviously very nice. So one of the things that we did, and I think the sequence that we did the symposium in this year allowed for this, is we did an introduction to Odyssey tutorial on the Saturday morning. So we kind of kicked off with that. And it was, I think, a very nice way for the people that were new to the community to, kind of learn about Odyssey and what's going on. There are quite some new European projects involving people that have never done anything with Odyssey before, and they were there in the tutorial. When we asked them how many had ever been to an Odyssey symposium before or had done anything with Odyssey, most of them said they had never done anything. So there were really a lot of newbies there, which was obviously great. About 45 people. The session was led by Cynthia Yang, Aniek Marcus, and myself. And as I said, we talked a little bit about what Odyssey is and how Odyssey came to life. And Aniek then gave a nice overview of things that can actually be done with the tooling, just to make people really excited. So she showed some things on treatment patterns and some examples from Legend. And then Cynthia went on to explain, all the things you have to do before you can actually get down to the fun stuff and do all the studies. What we tried to do here is all the things that we introduced, is that we tried to link them either to, the YouTube videos, the Book of Odyssey, and the Eden Academy, so people would understand where they could actually learn more. And I think that worked really well. People were enthusiastic. We also introduced them a bit to the community and told them that whenever they have questions, they should be out there asking them. And I think they did that during the symposium, and they might just approach one of you someday soon with their questions. Symposium Monday, Patrick did the first talk, and he told us a little bit about where we are now in the community and obviously where we would like to go. And one of the things he shared that was an eye-opener for me, at least, is that apparently 5 years ago, the European Medicines Agency did a study to identify which EHR datasets in Europe were actually suitable for use in medicines regulation. And their conclusion was that only a few healthcare datasets in Europe were fit for this purpose. And about 8 of them at that point in time were being transformed to a common data model. Fast forward to where we are today. And if we look at what's been happening in the EDEN initiative, we see that there now have been 187 awarded applications for people to map their data to the OMOP common CDM, the OMOP CDM, sorry. So I think we are really going full steam ahead, as the symposium title was, to change things in Europe. And that is something that I definitely noticed at the symposium as well. There were a lot of people that were very excited and very much motivated by the things that were going on. So it's nice to see all these movement happening in Europe. We also had some presentations from European initiatives. The session was kicked off by Carlos Diaz from Synapse, who is involved in both EDEN and Darwin. And he shared with us some of the accomplishments of EDEN and what it has led to. So there are now over 70 methodological and scientific publications coming out of EDEN. There is a portal that has been set up that showcases the database catalog and all the network dashboards. So that's really good. And Carlos also talked about the legacy that EDEN will leave behind once the project stops. The EDEN Foundation is being set up to make sure there is continuity in projects and that we keep all this movement going. And of course, we have the EDEN Academy, which has been set up, which is gaining a lot of traction, and the evidence generated is still there for us. Then we had 3 presentations from people involved with Maaike van Swieten from the Dutch Cancer Registry. You can see her having a lot of fun here in this picture. She had a lot of fun in her presentation, I think in her project as well. She was talking about the EuroCan project, and she focused on the challenges of harmonizing rare cancer data, things like the quality of the data and the heterogeneity of the data sets. And she talked about how Odyssey and EDEN and the community have attempted to tackle all these issues. Next, we had Michel van Spijbroek from Janssen talking about HONOR, which is a federated network of real-world data sets of hematological diseases in Europe. And one of the challenges he mentioned was the extreme detail of the data being recorded in free text. So that requires a little bit of work before we have it nice and structured. He also highlighted DITRAN, which is their disease trajectory analyzer, which allows non-technical users to actually explore their data, and it works together with Atlas by letting you import cohorts. The last speaker that was already mentioned before is Professor Monique Robol. She talked to us about the Pioneer Project, which is a project on prostate cancer, and they have over 100 million adults in their initial cohorts. Obviously not what they did with 8 different databases and already 3 study-a-thons. And what I liked very much about her presentation is she hinted at the difficulties in the Pioneer project of trying to map the data to the OMOP CDM, but then also went to talk about her next project, which was Optima, in which they are looking for the optimal treatment for patients with solid tumors, and that they have also chosen to do that with the OMOP CDM. So, you know, it's difficult, but people are still sticking to it and seeing the benefits. One of the interesting things that kind of triggered me in this, that we're all looking at registry data here, which they're very, very rich data sets, but also very high, have very high maintenance costs and take years to collect. So, you know, we were kind of wondering where this should be going in the future. And I think it might be nice to have a talk sometime about, can we get these data from EHRs and what are the added benefits of these extra registries? I know some people are saying we're only going to get more registries, and there's other people going the other way. So that was a nice little discussion started there. The other thing going on in Europe that I want to highlight a little bit are the national nodes. The national nodes originated out of the EDIN project, and the idea is that within a country, people working together with the OMOP CDM or the Odyssey tooling actually come together and try to help each other out to see if they can do things for each other or maybe participate in a variety of studies. The things that we have seen are people actually sharing their mappings from same EHRs and making catalogs of data partners and characterizing data sets. And I think it's a very good initiative to actually come together and discuss your local things that are going on. So that is definitely unique to Europe. And we gave them some space, and they definitely claimed their space. So that was very nice. That was very nice to see. Last thing that I'm going to talk a little bit about is the showcase. As I said before, we had 89 posters in the showcase, 5 software demos that Cesar will tell you a little bit more about. Most of the posters were on the data standards and management, so half of them. But I was also very happy to see that there were 28 posters on clinical applications, which I think is great going forward, that we can actually see things happening in practice. Another thing that became obvious during the symposium is that there is a lot of things going on in Europe regarding oncology, hematology. A lot of the posters and also a lot of the talks concerned oncology questions. So that is getting quite big in Europe right now. And then for the last thing I wanted to share with you is my personal takeaway. And there is really a lot of momentum in Europe right now. There were so many enthusiastic people. There's a real buzz even outside of the community saying, oh, the Odyssey Symposium was last weekend, lots of cool things presented there. And I think it's nice to see that we are really, really moving forward in Europe. And I think I will pass it on now to Maxim.
So I'll tell a bit about the 2 of the working groups that met on Saturday and Sunday before the symposium, and briefly talk about the EMA that presented as well during the symposium. So I had the privilege to lead the CDM and ETL working group together with Erica and Claire. Claire even flew in specifically especially from Venice to do this with us, to join. We held actually a similar session last year, and the first thing we noticed is that people are actually much further in their ETL process. So this is a typical journey, and we asked the audience, like, where are you in your journey? And 3 people said they were really at the beginning with their source data and then trying to see how they were going to method to OMOP. 2 people were summarizing their data, and always at the end, 13 people, and there might be some double counting here, I have to admit, they already completed their mapping to the OMOP CDM, of which 6 already were participating in network research. Compared to last year, actually, you see people are further in their journey, so that's really nice to see by repeating this. So it was a bit of a open interactive session to provide some ETL support and go into often asked questions. And we let people vote on the topics raised by their fellow attendees. And this ranged from best practices to develop ETL to the maintenance of an existing CDM. For example, how to go to a new CDM version or a new vocabulary version. And it was a really nice interactive session with the attendees. The day before was really actually a vocabulary working group as well. The picture here is just to show the setting. I couldn't find a picture of the actual vocabulary working group, but this was the setting in our academic center in the Erasmus University. This vocabulary working group focused on drugs. It was more or less a drug vocabulary working group, led by the vocabulary team, Christian, Anna, Alexander, Oleg, and invited speaker Marcel de Wilde. And the focus really on how can the community contribute to the drug vocabularies, specifically how to further extend the RX norm extension. And this is really relevant in Europe, as the RX norm, of course, is built around the US drugs, and we need this extension to properly map the local drug concepts. So Marcel, for instance, was invited to share his first experience with using the drug boiler to create new drug concepts. And then we're very honored to have the EMA share with us their vision of the use of real-world evidence. Andre explained about how regulators can benefit from real-world evidence, the different types of studies they currently conduct, and what sources they use. And there's a clear strategy of using observational and big data in the European health data space, with an important role for the EMA and for also the HMA. It was especially exciting to hear him talk about the launch of Darwin EU last year, in which Erasmus is also very much involved, and you heard about before probably on these community calls, and how this fits in the overall vision that he presented. This was actually followed by multiple speakers from the Darwin Coordination Center itself, which Cesar will tell a bit more. Then also on the Saturday and Sunday, there was the phenotype workshop, and I think Talita will tell about that.
Hi, everyone. Yes, it was really, really nice to see a lot of you in Rotterdam last week. It's been a while for me, maybe 3 years that I haven't been to Symposium in Rotterdam, so it was a real pleasure to see many of you there. And yeah, before I start, just huge thanks to the organizers for all the work they did prior to the Symposium. It was really, really nice. And yeah, just I don't have any slides. I'm going to be very brief. Just a quick overview on the phenotype workshop that happened on Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning. So I think one of the main indicators of the success of this phenotype was the amount of people who joined. There were 114 people who joined this workshop. So this shows, the interest of the community on phenotyping. So this was mainly led by Anna and Patrick, and then Victor, Theta, and myself from helping with the teams and everything. But this was a big effort from Anna and Patrick mainly. So I don't know if they are here today, or Victor, if you're here, and if you want to add anything, please feel free. So just a quick overview on what we did. So the first day, Patrick started with an overview on phenotyping, development, and evaluation, followed by Anna with an introduction on how to create and build the concept sets using Athena and Atlas. And then we have the breakout session with the team. So we created more than 20, I think it was 22 teams working on 10 different phenotypes. And the 10 different phenotypes were the topics were decided by the community previously on which were the phenotypes that were the priority to work on as a community. So that was very nice. I don't think we got to a final version of these phenotypes in these 2 days, but at least I think this was a good starting point for the community. And then Patrick gave an introduction also on how to create the cohort definitions on Atlas. And then the groups, they were also able to then work on creating this their cohorts using Atlas. We were then able to run cohort diagnostics overnight. And then on Sunday morning, we started the day, Anna started with an introduction to measurement error and the use of cohort diagnostics to assess the potential measurement error. And after that, the teams actually, because we had more than one team, mainly 2 teams working on the same cohort definition, the teams could get together and evaluate their cohort diagnostics and discuss, the main challenges, the lessons learned and everything. And we finished the day with a joint meeting with all the teams where they could present what they discussed and how they evaluated the cohort diagnostics. That was all for the phenotype. I don't know if Victor is here and if he wants to add anything. Victor, I can see you.
Yes, I'm here. And yeah, thank you for giving the great overview. And in addition, I want to also give a shout out to Gautam Rao for running the cohort diagnostics overnight. And that was really, really helpful, and it really facilitated the workshop. And of course, shout out to the entire team, to Talita, to Patrick and Anna for organizing everything. So yeah, I would say well done, team.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you. And just maybe I don't know if I went too fast, but if I have 1 minute just to say that there was also oncology working group meeting on Sunday that I think was very interesting. There were a lot of people joining that meeting. There were some presentations on different oncology projects that are happening now in Europe. And there was a very interesting session in the afternoon on the main challenges in the oncology field in using the OMOP CDM that I think, that was led by Christian and Asie, and that was really, really interesting discussion. So just, to mention that I think there's a lot of interest in oncology right now in Europe, and that session especially was very interesting. So yeah, I don't know if Christian or Asie are around and want to say something about it, but yeah, I think it was very, very nice session that we had on Sunday. Now maybe Cesar, is Cesar around?
Yes. Hi. Hi. Thanks,
I see
Talita.
Gautam has his hand raised.
Yeah, I had a quick comment. Please, if you have a mature phenotype that you would like to contribute from that work to the Odyssey phenotype library, this is an opportunity. Those are tremendous assets for the community. So we welcome the contribution. Please reach out to me, or make a forum post, or anyway, and we'll get it into the library.
Yeah, maybe just to quickly mention that there were some people with previous experience in phenotyping, but most of the people who joined, there's 114 people who joined. I think the majority, they never worked on phenotyping before, or they have just a little bit of experience. So I think it was really nice to see how they, at the end of Sunday, the progress that they made and how the amount of things they learned, and now they're ready to phenotype. So I think this is great.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And now, Cesar, are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I'm Cesar Barboza. I work at Erasmus MC as a software developer, and I'm going to talk about the software demonstrations, the rapid fire presentations, the interesting things that happen there. And well, on the software demonstrations at the symposium, we had 5 very interesting software demonstrations. All of them, I believe, they show how big projects are taking advantage of the OMOP common data model to produce large-scale research. For instance, we had a very interesting live demo by Javier Gracia Tabuenca, who is involved in the FIN project. Javier is a postdoc at FinGen, and this project is aimed mainly to study the genetic and health data of at least 500,000 individuals in Finland. They mapped and curated the medical vocabularies specific from Finland to the standard codes in the OMOP CDM. And one of the interesting things is that they hope that this mapping could be used not only in Finland, but also in other Nordic countries and neighbors of Finland. That is very interesting. Also, like the other software demonstration were pretty much also in another large-scale project. As you know, Darwin project, as you may recall, the Darwin EU project is conducting and will conduct multiple studies using healthcare databases across the European Union. And well, Edward Byrne from the team at Oxford University presented the incidence prevalence package. This package has been central to conduct what we call off-the-shelf studies at Darwin, which are based on estimating population-level incidence and prevalence using the OMOP common data model. Also from the Darwin project, we also have a software demonstration of a package called Patient Profiles. This is an R package presented by MacDo, also from Oxford University, and it's aimed to simplify the characterization of patient-level data. And the objective is to add characteristics such as sex, age, and days of prior history to CDM tables containing patient-level data. We also have another software demonstration by Yuxian Guo, also from Oxford. They presented the drug utilization R package that aims to provide tools needed for the standardization of drug utilization studies within the Darwin projects. I also participated in these software demonstrations. I'm working on this report generator that integrates parameterized reporting into a Shiny application. Darwin, as you may know, is aimed to conduct tens of studies, so report generator is intended to facilitate the work of researchers by creating automatic Word reports of all the required tables and visualizations. We also have like very, very interesting rapid fire presentations. Just to mention a few: Javier Garcia Tabuenca, Jared Hotaling, Marcus Hogg, Henrik John, Ian Wong, Judith Brand, Martí Catalá, Alex Reques from Erasmus MC, Shen Janover. They made very good contributions to the showcase or presentations, but we wanted to highlight one of them that we like it very much, that shows how the OMOP infrastructure can actually result in a real life benefit for patients. So we actually are seeing what like these effects that are having like in medical decisions. And Ismail Gogengur presented this very interesting research, and his OMOP big data platform uses Danish data to produce machine learning models and predict mortality after surgery on patients with colorectal cancer. And the interesting thing is that just in February, they implemented an AI prediction model with 80 patients, and they were able to reduce the length of a stay after surgery, reductions in morbidity, and readmissions after surgery. So it was very interesting, very nice to see this kind of research. It's a little bit like some of the people that were presenting their research in the presentations. Also, like then we had like a Darwin session. We had two very interesting panels, very much on the Darwin project. And I think these panels very much show the power of how the Odyssey community is contributing on the continental level here in Europe to deliver real-world data research. Andrzej Sejgenk from the European Medicines Agency said in his presentation how real-world evidence is now being used in the field of medicines regulation in Europe. One of the expectations is that by 2025, the use of real-world evidence will be enabled and will contribute with its value across the spectrum of regulatory use case. And well, the objective is that the real-world evidence will contribute and will have added value to the medicine regulation here in the continent. And finally, we also have like this is for the end, a panel on the Darwin Project, questions and answered by several panelists from the Coordination Center, who gave a very interesting insight on how this large-scale project is working. And for the closing ceremony, basically, as you may know, like Peter and Ryan made this amazing mini concert about the Blues Brothers. Probably, I don't know, probably I can share a little bit about the video. Well, this is another photo from the closing ceremony. Hopefully, I don't know if you can hear it. Hopefully, you will be able to.
Thank you very, very, very much. And I also like to thank the great team from Erasmus. So thank you very much for helping me out with this Not all of them are on this picture, many more actually, but thank you very much. Thank you. And I also like to thank all the sponsors and everybody that helped out making this possible. Thank you. I then think it's important that we start making the group picture. And probably Martijn, you're going to set us up again. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Let's get together a bit. So I would suggest the people on the top just go down.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's the closing. I think it was amazing. And Peter, well, thanking everybody for the hard work for this symposium. Thanks.